Hi everyone, hope you are doing great. Welcome back to another video on Pytest in our Python for Test Automation series. In this video, we will cover what Pytest is, prerequisites for using Pytest, best practices with Pytest like do's and don'ts, writing first test with Pytest, running the test. Pytest is a powerful and flexible testing framework for Python that makes it easy to write everything from simple unit tests to complex functional test suites. It is widely adopted because of its simplicity, scalability, and extensive plugin ecosystem. Pytest plays a similar role in Python as JUnit in Java and NUnit in .NET, making it a go-to choice for test automation in Python projects. Prerequisites to use Pytest. Let us go to the official documentation of Pytest. It clearly states that in order to use a Pytest, it requires Python 3.8 and above. If you are new to Python and not sure how to install Python, check out my step-by-step guide how to install Python. I will also put a link in my description. Once Python is installed, you can install Pytest using a command pip install pytest. Let us do it. Let's bring the command prompt and then check the Python version. I have a Python version 3.13.2. Okay, in order to install Pytest, we will have to use pip install Pytest. The installation is complete. We can check pip show Pytest. You can see the version, it is 8.3.4. Now the installation is complete. Now you can use Pytest. Before we start using Pytest, it is important to understand do's and don'ts of Pytest. Pytest defines a naming convention and structure to automatically discover the test files, test classes, and test functions. In order for the Pytest to recognize the test file should have a prefix test underscore or a suffix underscore test. So always Pytest looks for the Python file that matches the below pattern. Test underscore any name star py, that is star is any name, or any name underscore test.py. The example is test login.py or the calculator underscore test.py. So you should have a prefix test underscore or the suffix underscore test. Then only Pytest recognize this file as a test file. The second rule is that the test function inside the test file should also have a prefix test underscore. Okay, so you can see here we have a function def, then you have a test underscore addition. So if you write like this, then Pytest will recognize this as a test function. In case if you are using a test class inside the test file, then classes should be named starting with test. For example, test calculator and T should be capital. And these classes should not have any init method. You should not have any constructors inside. And inside the class, test method should always start with test underscore. A good example is the file name is test underscore class.py, and then you have a class test calculator under which you have a function starting with test underscore. If you follow this naming convention, then Pytest recognize your test files, test functions, and test classes. Let's start writing our first test. I have created a folder for this tutorial as a Pytest learning, under which I will create a new Python file by name dummy underscore learn is in Python file, and here I will be writing a function as test calculator, something like this, and then I will do an assert. I will say 1 plus 1 equals to 2. Okay, and then I will go to a terminal, and to invoke a Pytest you will have to write python minus m is a module, then you have to give Pytest. So now when you try to execute this, then Pytest will search for the condition that we specified, right? It first check for the file name. The file name should be start with test underscore or should end with underscore test. Okay, then if it finds that file, then it goes inside and try to understand the test functions. Okay, now let us try to execute this and see what happens. So it is giving us some error. It says that no module name Pytest item dict is found. Okay, this is a plugin that is needed for the Pytest. So what we can do is we can try to install this. Pip install, copy this and then paste. The installation is complete. Now try to execute the test again. It's again giving an error. It says that no module named data to XML is found. So this is also, looks like this is also a dependency. Let us try to install this. Pip install the installation is complete. Now let us try to execute it. Now all the issues were resolved and Pytest got executed, and if you see, it is clearly saying us that no test ran. That is because our naming convention is wrong. Okay, what I will do is I will try to rename this and I will give it as test, proper naming convention, test calculator.py, and here I will take out test. Okay, just an experiment, just to see how it works. If I execute this, it should also result in a 0 test, because we are again not following. Here the file name is correct, but we are not following the naming convention for the function. Okay, let us try to give it as test underscore calculator and let us try to execute this. Now see, your execution is completed and your test is passed. Okay, now let us try to introduce an error. Instead of giving 1 plus 1 is equal to 2, we will give it as a 3 and just check what exactly it does. Our expectation was 3, but we got 2. Okay, this is an error. So this is how the Pytest basically works. Okay, let us try to put this under a class. We can call it as class test calculator, and under which you can put a file, and whenever you using a class, you should put a parameter as self. Okay, that is why it was giving an error. So this is perfect. So if I give it as something like test, okay, now let us see what it gives. Let us try to execute this. Okay, it did not collect any of the test because our convention is wrong. And if I give it like this, and if I try to execute, and we'll make this test pass. Okay, I will save this and I will try to execute. And if you see, it collected one test. Okay, it collected a test.calculate file, and under which there was a test class, under which there was a test function. Okay, this is how basically Pytest recognizes the file naming convention, the class naming convention, and the function naming convention. Okay, and also we have seen how to invoke a test, right? You have to go to a directory where your test files are there, and from there you will have to give a command. For example, in my case, I have the test file under Pytest learning, right? I am going there. Okay, my path is up to here, if you see, and from there I will be basically executing a command python -m pytest. This is how we wrote our first test and we executed our first test. That brings us to the end of this session. In this video, we covered what Pytest is, the prerequisites for using Pytest, how Pytest recognizes test files, test classes, and test functions, writing the first test using Pytest, running the test using the command line, simple command. I hope you enjoyed learning with me. If you find this video helpful, don't forget to like and subscribe. Thank you for watching.